An 80-pound Doberman had been handed back twice before he turned 2. Both families used almost the same word when they returned him: dangerous. He spent close to a year in a concrete run at the back of a county shelter while people walked the aisle, glanced at him, and kept moving toward the puppies. Then a family took a chance, brought him home, and set a small camera on a nursery shelf so a worried grandmother could see for herself. What that camera recorded a few weeks later is the reason this story exists. The Doyle family lived just outside Columbus, Ohio, in a narrow 2-story house with a fenced yard and a driveway that always needed shoveling. Marcus Doyle worked as a lineman for the power company and was gone before sunrise most mornings. Hannah stayed home with their son, Noah, who was 15 months old, all cheeks and stubborn little knees, with a habit of laughing at things nobody else found funny. Marcus had wanted a dog since before Noah was born. Not a small one. He wanted a dog with weight to it, the kind you notice when it walks into a room. Hannah agreed on one condition: the dog had to be safe around the baby, no exceptions, and no second guessing. They drove out to Hollow Creek Rescue on a cold Sunday in February. Hannah had a short list saved on her phone. Boon was not on that list. Boon was in Run 12 at the far end, a black and rust Doberman built like he had somewhere to be. His ears were natural and soft at the tips, and his eyes did not skip around the room the way nervous dogs do. He looked at people the way you look at a door you are not sure about. Steady, patient, a little too knowing. The card clipped to his run was short. Surrendered at 10 months. Adopted at 14 months, returned 6 weeks later because he watched the family's daughter too closely. Adopted again at 18 months, back within a month because guests said he made them nervous. He had been at Hollow Creek for 287 days. Marcus read the card and moved on. Hannah did not. She crouched in front of Run 12, and Boon came to the gate, sat, and held her gaze without blinking. That same look that had emptied out 2 homes did something else to her. She felt less like she was being studied, and more like she was being kept track of. "He's not aggressive," the shelter volunteer said, a young guy named Theo. "That's the frustrating part. He's never so much as curled a lip. He just stations himself near whoever he decides is his. People read it as a threat because they don't know what to do with a dog that serious." Hannah stood up. Marcus was already halfway down the aisle. She called after him that they were taking Boon home, and she said it in a voice that did not leave room for a discussion. The first days were a mess in the ordinary way. Boon cleared a lamp off an end table with one swing of his tail. He decided the couch belonged to him and stretched across it like he was paying rent. But something about the way he moved through the house stood out early. He did not just wander it, he learned it. By the 3rd day, he had a route, and he walked it every morning without being asked. Kitchen, side door, front hall, the top of the stairs, then Noah's room, then back down. He checked the same corners in the same order, like a man on a shift he took seriously. Noah was never scared of him. Not for a minute. The first morning, Noah crawled straight up to this enormous, dark dog, grabbed a fistful of his ear, and pulled. Boon turned his head slowly, sniffed the top of Noah's head, and let out a long breath through his nose. Then his tail thumped the floor twice. That was the whole introduction. After that, they were just a set. Here is the part that matters. Hannah's mother did not like Boon. She had read things about the breed, and every time she visited, she would sit stiffly with her purse in her lap and ask whether it was really wise to have a dog that size around a baby. To settle it, more for her own peace than her mother's, Hannah bought a little camera and clipped it to the shelf above the changing table. It pointed down at the crib. She told herself it was for nap times. If you are still watching this far in, do me one small favor and tap the subscribe button. The next part is the reason I wanted to make this video, and I would hate for you to miss it. For a couple of weeks, the footage was nothing but calm. Hannah would put Noah down, walk out, and check her phone. Every single time, within a minute of the door closing, Boon would slip into the room and lie down on the floor beside the crib with his chin on his paws. He would stay there the entire nap, and he would get up and leave about a minute before Noah started to stir, as if he could hear the boy waking before any human could. Hannah showed the clips to Marcus. She even showed one to her mother, who watched, said nothing, and changed the subject. Then came a Thursday in early May. Marcus was up on a pole 2 counties over. Hannah had put Noah down for his afternoon nap around 1, and a little after that, the doorbell rang with a delivery she had been waiting on. She went down, signed for it, and stood on the porch for a couple of minutes talking to a neighbor who had wandered over. 5 minutes, maybe 6. Not long. The camera kept recording the whole time, and this is what it caught. Noah had a stuffed rabbit he slept with, and somewhere in his sleep he had pulled a thin muslin blanket up and over his face, and it had settled there. On the footage you can see him fuss, then squirm, then go still in a way that is wrong. Boon was already in the room, lying by the crib like always. The instant Noah went quiet, Boon's head came up. He was on his feet in under a second. He put his front paws on the crib rail and shoved his nose down through the slats. Then he pulled back and started barking, not his usual sound, something sharper and louder that he had never made in that house. When no one came, he wheeled around, tore out of the nursery, and you can hear him hit the top of the stairs at a dead run. Hannah was still on the porch when Boon came flying down and slammed into the storm door, barking in her face, spinning, throwing himself back toward the stairs and looking at her over his shoulder. She said later that she had never seen him like that and did not think. She just ran. He beat her up the stairs and was at the crib before she cleared the doorway. She pulled the blanket off Noah's face and scooped him up, and it took a few seconds that felt much longer before he pinked up, coughed, and started to cry. That cry was the best sound she had ever heard. The pediatrician told her that another minute or two could have gone very differently. Hannah sat on the nursery floor for a long time that afternoon with Noah in her lap and Boon pressed against her side, and she cried into the dog's neck while he stood there and let her. That night she watched the footage all the way through, the whole thing, timestamp and all. Marcus watched it when he got home and had to step outside for a while. 2 families had looked at this exact dog and seen a threat. A camera meant to reassure a nervous grandmother had instead recorded the moment a dog everyone had given up on saved a child's life. Hannah's mother watched the clip once, on the couch, with her purse still in her lap. When it ended, she got up without a word, walked over to where Boon was lying, and knelt down and put her hand flat on his chest for a long moment. She never asked about getting rid of him again. Theo at Hollow Creek shared the story a few weeks later. No names, just the outline, and a still from the footage. Within days, the shelter had more Doberman applications than it had seen all year. People who had been afraid of the breed were suddenly writing in to ask about the serious black dogs nobody else wanted. Boon is 4 now. Noah is almost 2 and calls him Boo, which nobody bothered to correct. The little camera is still on the nursery shelf, though Hannah admits she leaves it there more for herself than for anyone else at this point. Boon still walks his route every morning. He still lies by the bed until the boy is asleep and slips out right before he wakes. He was never the dangerous thing in that house. He was the reason nothing dangerous ever got the chance to happen. So here is what I keep wondering. Did Boon know what he was the day those first families gave him back? And were they the ones who failed the test? If you have ever brought home the dog nobody else would take, tell me about them below. Somebody scrolling past tonight needs to read it.